Hi everyone, I hope you people are doing great. Let's start with the next question, which is question number 2 of our double September December 23 past paper. We are already done with question number 1, which pertain to your risk assessment portion. So you can check out the playlist before and do the question number 1. Now let's start with question number 2. This is a 20 marker classic internal controls question. And the first question is for 4 marks, which is basically your knowledge based question. I hope that you're also simultaneously practicing for knowledge based questions because personally I feel that they are for free because you already know the answer really very well, right? So it's better that you prepare for them really nicely, because I have seen students taking knowledge based questions for granted, which you should technically not do so, right? So when we start with this particular question, this is a classic. I think we have seen this question a lot of times now. By now, you should be familiar with this question at least. So this question says that you need to describe. So basically, we have ISA 265. I'm sorry. ISA 265 communicating deficiencies in the internal controls to those charged with governance and management to communicate the significant deficiencies to the TCWG. Right. So now the question is asking you describe 4 matters that the auditor should consider in determining whether a particular deficiency which they have identified in the question in the company is in internal controls is significant or no. So is it important, is it material or no for the company? Now if you read the note over here, they have clearly written that you do not have to refer to the case scenario. That clearly means that it is a 4 marker purely knowledge based question. Okay, so have also curated a knowledge based PDF which contains most of the knowledge based questions. So you can definitely refer to that. If you want, you can comment down below and ask for the, basically that is available in the link in the bio of BeingACCA Instagram account. So you can go there and take the benefit of the PDF. So when we read the answers, I've already written out the answer so that we do not waste time over here and we can move to the next question, which is really very important. So the first part says the susceptibility to loss or fraud of a related asset or a liability. Of course, if it leads to some losses, if the internal control deficiency leads to some frauds, of course, this is something which is significant and has to be communicated to those charged with governance. Then talking about the likelihood of deficiency leading to material misstatement. Again, if it is leading to material misstatement, it will eventually have to be communicated to those charged with governance, right? Then how is it subjective, is it complex? Then what are the amounts exposed in the financial statements because of this reason, right? That is also really very important. And then the importance of controls to financial reporting process. So any 4 you can write out of these, and I think there are more pointers as well, but if you want you can write those as well. I have written some of the pointers which I feel are easy to remember as well. Okay, so just memorize, keep memorizing, and I think you'll be good to go once you do this. Okay, guys, so let's start with our question number 2, which is the main question of this particular case study. And you have to identify and explain 8 deficiencies in silver company's inventory count arrangements. And you also have to provide a recommendation for the same. Okay, so I hope that you have seen one of my at least past paper videos wherein I have solved this internal controls question. So it will help you to understand how do we actually proceed ahead with deficiencies and control recommendations. I hope that you know the topic at least. So let's start reading the question, and then we'll be identifying the deficiencies one by one, and then I'll explain you them about them one by one. So it is 1st July 2005. You are an audit senior with Golden and Company, and you are in the process of reviewing the inventory count arrangements for your audit client, which is Silver and Company, in preparation for attendance at the full year end inventory count on 30th of September 2005. So you should know that the year end is 30th September 2005. The company manufactures household furniture such as tables, sofas, beds, and has a factory and a large warehouse which are located on a single site. Okay. So that's fine that they have given us a case study. So let's now read what is happening so that we are able to form our deficiencies better. Okay. The company manufactures goods 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to meet customers' demand. So they're continuously producing the goods. Production will still be continuing during the inventory count as it is not possible for the company to stop producing goods. This is little bit of, I think, a problem. Let's read the next line as well. movements of goods in and out of the factory and warehouse will also have to continue for operational reasons. Now this will be an issue, I feel, that if I am counting inventory. Okay, so let's take an example that I am somebody who's counting in inventory, and somebody is coming into the warehouse. He's, taking the goods, he's taking it out, bringing the goods in, bringing the goods out. So it will be very difficult for me to see that have I counted this good or have I not counted this good. So there can be a risk, there can be a problem wherein I am not able to identify how many goods have I counted, which can lead to two problems. Like two problems vice versa. One can be omission, that I've omitted the goods which went out or which came in. Or there can be a scenario where I'm double counting the same good, which can lead to your understatement or overstatement on the inventory. So inventory valuation on counting of the inventory can be hampered, right? So this deficiency is a problem to the company. See guys, whenever you're identifying deficiencies, there is a vast difference between what you write in the technique of what you write in deficiencies and audit risk. So if I just quickly explain to you, just give me a moment. Yeah, so I do see this problem with happening with lot of students, that they do get to sometimes confused between how to write. They know the difference between what is audit risk and what is deficiencies, but they are sometimes confused as to what do we write in deficiencies answers and what do we write in audit risk answer. Okay, simple thing that I usually tell my students, that this is the simplest thing that you can keep in mind is, whenever you are referring to any audit risk, you have to tell how that risk will impact your financial statements. What do I mean by financial statements is, how will it impact the items of my financial statements? Items like balance sheet items, which is basically your assets, liabilities, loans, etc. The headings of your balance sheet. And the second one is your P&L, your profits, your expenses, all of those things, right? So how does that risk affect the financial statements? That is what audit risk is. Whereas deficiencies is for the company as a whole. Okay, so company as a whole, that because this is happening, there can be an issue with the company goodwill, or there can be an issue with employee goodwill or supplier goodwill, whatever. The goodwill can be an issue, or overall revenues, overall profits can be hampered because of this. So overall company पे क्या impact पड़ेगा, क्या negative impact पड़ेगा, that is what deficiency deals in. Whereas your audit risk जो deal करता है वो हमारी financial statements पे deal करता है. तो ये simple सा अगर आपको फंडा पता होगा, then I think writing of the answers becomes very very easy, right? Okay. Let's move ahead with the next deficiency that we have. I hope the first one is clear. So I'll just quickly write over here, double counting. It can lead to issue of double counting or omissions. Fine. Okay. This is the first deficiency that we were able to identify. Now, the second one, the count will be undertaken by 20 teams of 2 counters from the warehouse, and the warehouse supervisor will be overseeing the inventory count. Now, here if you see, okay, the counting is being undertaken by 2 counters from the warehouse. So the counting is also taken up by the warehouse team, and the warehouse supervisor is only overseeing the same. So now here should be segregation of duties. Why there should be segregation? Because team भी उसी की है, count भी वो खुद ही कर रहा है. So हो सकता है कुछ frauds या errors हो जो कि warehouse supervisor जो है वो थोड़ा ignore कर दे, क्योंकि मेरी ही team ने count करा है, right? So that can be an issue. A lot of students यहाँ पे लिख देते हैं self review threat तो पूछा ही नहीं है ना, deficiency पूछी कि क्या deficiency है जिसकी वजह से हमारी कंपनी को इम्पैक्ट पड़ेगा. So you can write segregation of duties is the problem over here, right? That there should be segregation of duties. नहीं होगा तो frauds and errors के chances काफी बढ़ जाते हैं, because of course if I am the supervisor and मेरी टीम ने कुछ गड़बड़ करी है, I'll be like okay, I'll be little negligent कि okay, it's fine, right? So I will be little on those lines. So that is the deficiency from the company's part, that there should be a segregation of duties. And recommendation is very very similar. जो आप सोच रहे हो कि मतलब ये गलत हो रहा है, ये होना चाहिए, जो होना चाहिए वो आप recommendation में लिख दो. जैसे हमने यहाँ पे बात करी कि there should be segregation of duties, lack of segregation of duties is the problem. That is what you talk about in the recommendation, that there should be a segregation of duties and the warehouse supervisor should not be seeing the inventory count. There should be some other person who is overviewing the same, right? That is there. Okay. Each team will be given a specific area of warehouse to count using sequentially numbered inventory sheets, which details the items of the inventory together with quantities held at the date of the count as per the inventory system. Now, a lot of students do get confused that how is this a deficiency, because I have done this question with my students and they ask me, ma'am, ये कैसे deficiency है? Deficiency ऐसे है कि अगर आप क्या you as somebody who is there in the warehouse, you have gone, अगर आप टीम में हो, उस टीम में हो जो काउंट कर रही है, आप क्या काउंट कर रहे हो, कितनी क्वांटिटी है, जैसे गुड ए है तो उसके 10 प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, गुड बी है उसके 10 प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, तो जो काउंटिंग द क्वांटिटी. अगर आपकी प्री पॉपुलेटेड इन्वेंट्री शीट्स हैं, क्योंकि यहाँ पे उन्होंने क्या लिखा है, दे हैव रिटन, इफ यू रीड दिस अगेन, रीडिंग ऑफ द केस स्टडी इज रियली वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू. अगर आपने छोटी सी भी डिटेल मिस कर दी, either you write the whole deficiency wrong or you miss the deficiency. So if you read this carefully, they have written sequentially numbered inventory sheets, which is fine, which is a good thing, which details. Now details में उन्होंने क्या लिखा है, the items of inventory together with quantities. तो अगर उस sheet में already मेरे पास quantities mentioned होंगी, तो I'll be like, मैं बहुत ऐसी हो जाऊंगी कि अच्छा let's do that as per the pre-populated number sheets only. तो I'll be negligent. अगर मेरे पास 10 उसमें ऑलरेडी लिखा है, मैं उसको चेक नहीं करूंगी, मैं बोलूंगी हाँ 10 ही है, आई विल बी डूइंग अ टिक. उसमें 20 है, अच्छा 20 ही होगा ना, दिख रहा है 20 है, आई वोंट बी काउंटिंग इट. एक्चुअल मुझे कब पता चलेगा, जब उसको, क्योंकि मेरे पास क्वांटिटी मेंशन नहीं है और मेरे को इसमें क्वांटिटी लिखनी है, तो आई विल बी काउंटिंग इट डाउन. So I'll be counting it, 20 आता है तो मैं लिखूंगी, and then there should be a person who is reviewing this, कि उनके पास तो शीट होगी, तो प्री पॉपुलेटेड जो उनके पास शीट है क्वांटिटी शीट, उससे मैप करो जो आपके टीम मेंबर ने काउंट करे. सो आइडियली व्हाट शुड हैपन इज that the sheet, the sequentially numbered sheet that you have should not contain the quantities. The person, the team member should count it manually, physically, and insert the number in the sheet. And then there should be a person who is reviewing it and checking it कि अच्छा हमारे पास warehouse में इतनी quantities हैं, I'm comparing with my records, is it matching or no? That should ideally happen, not this thing, right? So this is a problem, and I have also given you the recommendation. I hope now you understand. I'm using very layman examples to make you understand better. Okay, it has been left to the individuals within each team to decide how to allocate the responsibilities within them. Again, this is a problem. How is this a problem? Because if there is some conflicts happening within the team, because nobody has actually set up their responsibilities, so if they have not set up their responsibilities, there can be a situation wherein they have their conflicts in between, due to which there is some errors or frauds happening in the inventory count. So the individuals from each team should already, the supervisor or the person who is senior to them should allocate the responsibilities, that you are responsible for this area or these many counts or these many products, and so on, for all of the team members, so that they have their own work to do and they're not having a conflict as to who is doing what, and which will not lead to frauds and errors. Very simple, right? Okay. Next paragraph. All goods present in the warehouse on 30th September 2005, that means that at the year end, will be allocated into separate warehouse bays, designated areas of the warehouse in preparation for counting. Okay. When a warehouse bay has been counted, it is crossed out. Okay. Crossed out का मतलब बिल्कुल आपने cross कर दिया उस चीज को, on the warehouse map, which is held in the warehouse by the warehouse supervisor. As the warehouse supervisor is confident that the 20 teams of, okay, let's first understand the first two lines first, right? जब भी आप लिख रहे हो, whenever you are also solving the question and you are also drafting your answers, it's better that आप पूरा paragraph ना पढ़ो, because उससे क्या होता है, मैं भी अगर पढ़ती हूँ, मैं ऊपर ऊपर से जाता हूँ. You getting me? If I'm reading the full paragraph, it just goes above my head that okay ये चीजें हैं, and मैं ऊपर ऊपर से पढ़ूंगी. But when you read line by line, then you will be better be able to understand what is the deficiency, and you will be also be very intricate कि अच्छा ये चीज, जैसे हमने यहाँ पे quantities पकड़ लिया, अगर मैं पूरा paragraph पढ़ती शायद मैं quantities I would not have concentrated on this word, right? So let's first read the two lines, identify if there's any deficiency, then we'll move with the next two lines. So you also bifurcate your paragraphs into 2 or 3 smaller paragraphs so that you're able to better understand. All goods present in the warehouse will be allocated into separate warehouse bays in preparation for counting. So I don't think so there's any deficiency. This is actually a good thing that they have a separate base. Okay. Now, when a warehouse bay has been counted, it is crossed out on the map. So let's, okay, a map which is held in the office by the warehouse supervisor. Again, now this is the problem, that they are not marking it off, they are crossing it off. यहाँ पे the key word is crossed out. Why are they crossing it out? Crossing का मतलब कुछ भी हो सकता है. Somebody मतलब there can be multiple interpretations. This is very subjective. So rather than crossing it out, it should be marked as done, that we are done with this warehouse, so that we are not in a position, because if I am, crossing it, map is not updated properly, because I'm crossing it, map is not updated properly, and it will lead to again the problem कि हमने ये ओमिट तो नहीं कर दिया, मतलब हमने ये मार्क कर लिया है नहीं करा है, क्वेश्चन आ जाएगा, सब्जेक्टिविटी आ जाएगी, बिकॉज आई कैन हैव सेपरेट इंटरप्रिटेशन दैट आई विल थिंक दैट ओके क्रॉस मींस इट इज डन. सो इफ इट इज डन, हो सकता है नहीं करा हो, क्रॉस का मतलब हो सकता है कि उन्होंने ओमिट कर दिया हो या नहीं करा हो. So again, that is the issue, that if you have crossed out, there can be multiple issues. But if you are marking it as counted, if you're writing counted, counting, or putting a tick or putting a tick or something, then it becomes very clear that this area is done. Right? So this was the problem over here. This was the deficiency over here about the same reason. Okay. So basically, the problem was there over here. Okay. Just a minute. Let's mark it as yellow only. And the keyword, I'll mark in blue. अपने लिए भी whenever you are also solving it out, no, mark it like this only, so that you get to know that okay, these are the keywords which I have to highlight in the exam also when I'm writing my actual answer with the explanation, right? Okay, now let's read the next line, because I am done with this now. I need to only read this line now, right? So it will be very clear in my head as well. As the warehouse supervisor is confident that the 20 teams are familiar with the warehouse and the location of the inventory, he has said that each bay only needs to be counted by one team. One area of the warehouse which includes a large quantity of spare parts left over. Okay. So basically, this is another area that I need to focus upon firstly. As the warehouse supervisor is confident that the 20 teams are familiar with the warehouse and the location of the warehouse, he has said that only each bay only needs to be counted by one team. Again, there can be issue wherein there are misses or omissions or frauds or errors happening because one bay is only being counted by one team, because he has that much of confidence. But confidence से हमारी दुनिया नहीं चलती है, right? As we say so. So he has the confidence in his team, which is really very great. But there can be issues in terms of the frauds or errors that are happening within the inventory system, within the inventory counting, because only one bay is only being calculated by one team member. उनका जो omission या उनसे कुछ गलतियां हुई होगी, nobody else is reviewing the same, right? So this is another deficiency that you can write. So we are done with this one as well, right? Now, so again, we broke down into 2, 3, 4 liners of this big chunky paragraph, right? Now, last line. One area of the warehouse, which includes a large quantity of spare parts left over from production, will be segregated so that the inventory will not be counted, as the warehouse supervisor has stated that these items are unusable. Again, as soon as you see this, आपके दिमाग में आ जाना चाहिए कि ऐसा कैसे? There should be a question that how is this happening, right? Because even if it is spoiled, if it is obsolete, kharab inventory hai, you have to count it. You can count it separately and write down ki acha ye kharab inventory hai, ye obsolete inventory hai, this is work in progress, this is finished goods, this is raw material. All of these you can bifurcate, right? But then they're all together. Skipping on that can be a problematic situation for the company. Again, misstated inventory हो सकती है, understated basically यहाँ पे inventory होगी क्योंकि हम count ही नहीं कर रहे हैं. तो understated inventory हो सकती है, and that can lead to problems in the company. So that is the reason, and the recommendation should be that regardless of inventory being obsolete, of being destroyed, of being work in progress, raw materials, or all of these, we should count it. Either we're counting it separately, putting a heading and writing it down, but it should be counted. So this is another deficiency. Okay. Now we're left with last 3 paragraphs. You're already done with 7. The question asked you 8, which is good. Okay. A numerical sequence check of the sheets will be carried out by the warehouse supervisor. Okay. A numerical sequence sheet will be carried out by the warehouse supervisor once the count is finished. Okay. Once the count is finished, the inventory sheets will then be passed to a warehouse assistant to update the inventory records to reflect the inventory physically present at the inventory sheets. Do you identify something which is missing? Like, जो first line में हो रहा है, जो second line में, that is happening fine, but there's some missing link happening between these 2 paragraphs. Can you identify? If yes, then good for you. If not, then, again, investigation is a problem over here. Investigation, reviewing कि अगर जो हमने करा, so they counted and they straight away writing it down, doing the adjustment. मतलब उन्होंने लिखा और उन्होंने compare नहीं किया, investigate नहीं किया, जो differences क्यों आए, problems क्यों आए, review नहीं किया, and straight away they are giving it to the warehouse assistant to update the records. So without seeing, without reviewing, without investigating the differences between the actual inventory and the physical inventory, the adjusted inventory जो उन्होंने books में लिखी है and the physical inventory, they're straight away adjusting the records, which is a problem, which is of course a problem, right? You should, if there is, हर चीज का रिव्यू होना चाहिए. whenever if you are somebody who is there in audit, आपके काम का भी रिव्यू होता होगा, या you would also do some reviews of a person who is less senior to you, right, who is junior to you. So then again, review इसलिए होता है ताकि there is no errors or frauds or mistakes happening, right? That is the reason that here the investigation portion is missing, which can lead to differences between the physical inventory which is appearing in the warehouse and the adjusted inventory, right? So let's write this out as 8th, right? Okay, 9th. Okay. Work in progress valuations have previously been carried out by an external inventory valuer. Okay. However, the warehouse supervisor has suggested that he undertakes this valuation this year as he is familiar with the company's products. The director have agreed to do this on the basis that it will save costs. See, costs are not the only criteria that we always look upon, right? Cost से ये नहीं होता है कि again, cost is not the only factor. We have to also ensure quality in our practices in the company, right? So do you think that the person, who is he? He's a warehouse supervisor. Okay, do you think he has the expertise, the knowledge, the experience that he can carry out the work in progress valuations? No, work in progress valuations is a very technical area, is a very technical field for which we have a separate valuer. Like here we also have inventory, external inventory valuer, right? So if that is the issue, the deficiency is that maybe that this warehouse supervisor does not have the experience, expertise, knowledge of this particular area, due to which it can again misstate our inventory. Overstatement and understatement of inventory can happen. So the problem, the deficiency is that warehouse supervisor is not experienced or does not have the expertise or the knowledge to carry out this function in the company. Okay. You copy paste from here. One common mistake I want to tell you, a lot of students that they do is, supposingly, okay, let me copy paste this paragraph for you. Okay. I just now remembered when I was copy pasting, so just let me quickly tell you people as well. Okay, so this is my paragraph from the question. Okay, when I read this paragraph from the question, I read work in progress valuations have been previously carried out by an external. Do you think there is any deficiency over here? No, no, ma'am. यहाँ पे तो deficiency नहीं है, नहीं है. Next line. However, the warehouse supervisor has suggested that he undertakes this valuation this year as he is familiar with the company's products. Now, यहाँ से लेकर यहाँ तक I found my deficiency. ठीक है, डेफिशिएंसी मिल गई मेरे को. लास्ट लाइन, द डायरेक्टर्स हैव अग्रीड टू डू दिस ऑन द बेसिस दैट इट विल सेव कॉस्ट. नाउ अगेन दिस इज पार्ट ऑफ दिस, तो मेरा डायरेक्ट डेफिशिएंसी इस लाइन से मेरे को नहीं मिली थी, राइट? So again, this is not a direct deficiency. Now, what a lot of students do is they copy paste the entire paragraph into their answers, right? Which is again very weird and you won't get marks. I will explain you the reason why. When you write deficiencies in the question is for 1 mark per point, right? So that is further bifurcated into identification of the deficiency from the question and then the explanation part. So basically it is half mark for the identification, half mark for the explanation. So when you are copy pasting the entire paragraph, you are actually telling me as an examiner कि you find out which is the what in this paragraph is the deficiency. क्योंकि first line तो नहीं है, last line भी नहीं है, जो deficiency है वो middle वाली line की है. So why are you not copy pasting only this particular paragraph and why are you copy pasting full paragraph? If you're copy pasting full paragraphs and आप examiner को बोलते हो कि आप identify कर लो कौन से में deficiency है, mind you this half mark becomes 0. Okay, you have to copy paste the exact same line from the question जो जहां से आपको deficiency मिली है. If you see, I also unintentionally I did not take up the first line, I did not take up the last line, I only took the between line, and then only I remembered that okay, this is some of the students do make this mistake. So please avoid doing this mistake. Okay. Okay. Last paragraph, and then we'll be done with this question. Okay, last week the company agreed to store 30 sofas belonging to a third party in its warehouse for the next 4 months as the third party's storage facilities became flooded. Okay, okay. For convenience, these sofas has been stored alongside similar products which belong to Silver and Company. Now, very evident. यहाँ तो very evident है कि अगर for example if let me explain over here only. For example, this is your warehouse, okay? Because you are also manufacturing sofas, right? So for example, this is, let's suppose say you have a product A and the company also, the third party also has the product A. Your products have been kept over here. Your products are here. And the other party's products are kept over here. So this area, the products of this area can get mingled with this area and can lead to problems in the counting. Maybe how do I identify कि ये वाला जो product है ये आपका है और उनका नहीं है, मतलब उनका है और आपका नहीं है. So here there can be a risk or the inventory valuations can be overstated because this is being kept in the same warehouse, right? So आप recommendation कर सकते हो, you can put a recommendation that some other dedicated area should be there for the third party wherein it is not being kept with our goods in the warehouse, because the product is also same. Product अलग होता तो इतना फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, but when the product is also same, it can lead to issues of overstated of inventory, right? So यहाँ पे the last line that you 10th line is these sofas have been kept with, this is our deficiency. Right, guys, I hope this question was clear to you. This was not a very technical question. It was very easy, I would say. If you read the case study really well, I feel that the question was very easy. Do let me know if you people have any doubts, any questions in this particular question. I'll be more than happy to help you. Plus, we'll be meeting in the next video wherein I will be solving question number 3, which includes your substantive procedures for this particular case study. And then we'll be done with this past paper. So thank you for watching.